Hello, everyone. Good to see y'all again. Welcome, one and all. Another fun summer Saturday Piano Tech Radio Hour. Good to have you all here. Just letting a few folks get rolling. And for those out there on YouTube viewing, we'll add a link within the next 15 minutes or so to join the call here as well. Welcome out there in internet land too. And still got some people rolling in, so we'll let them roll in and then we'll get started in just a minute. You have found your way to Piano Tech Radio Hour once again. And let's get rid of this sound here. A little sound effect I need to turn off. Hey, Morgan, how's it going, bud?
Going all right, thanks.
Good to see you. We missed you last week.
Yeah, I was off in California.
Good old California.
It was a lot of fun.
I saw Carl Lieberman here. Oh, there he is. Yeah. Did you see Carl?
Oh, many times. We had a lot of good times. In fact, I snuck him in and we played and listened to at Busendorfer 280 VC.
Oh,
It was a lot of
wonderful.
fun. Yeah.
You snuck in. Uh-oh. That sounds a little bit surreptitious. What's that all about?
Oh, we're scofflaws.
What's that?
We're scofflaws.
Yeah, well, if I know Carl and I knew what scofflaw meant, I would definitely associate Carl with the word scofflaw.
No. I'm on
Looks
the
like-
Institute team there, so I had a badge and stuff, so I could walk around the whole entire hotel, and no one cared where I was. So it was
Nice.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny actually. For this other business project I'm working on in the blockchain space, we had a convention in Los Angeles, and I was one of the organizers. But for whatever reason, I didn't get the right wristbands and stuff like that, in the front. So nobody really knew. So I actually found myself sneaking into my own convention through like back doors and stuff like that. It felt silly, but there was something kind of fun about it, I suppose.
So can I just say something?
Yeah.
I just came back from the convention, and we need to give kudos to Morgan. The whole Institute team was spectacular. He was a key member of it. I think he'll be the director next year.
Cool.
And how wonderful an institute it was.
Well, thanks, Carl. I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Yeah, glad you brought that up, Carl. Appreciate you taking a moment for that.
I second what Carl said. Morgan did a great job, as well as the rest of the team.
Cool. And I know that's Larry. I wasn't able to bring you up on camera while you're talking, but or maybe you're hiding. Oh, there you are. Yeah, you're just a picture. But yeah. So Larry, you were there, and I heard you got to meet with Adam, one of the technicians from my team in New York, before he tried out the technical exam. So thanks much for hanging out with him a little bit.
Yeah, I did. I was glad to meet him, and I hope I gave him some useful tips.
Well, he I think it's okay to share this, but he's been very ambitious. So I mean, we started working together, maybe I think it's been just like a year or something, and he's already done the written exam and passed it. Tuning exam. He was able to pass the tuning exam at the convention, which we were able to share last week. But the technical exam is something that he needs to work on to pass next time. But I mean, he see as is with those type of things in newbies, of course, like he was disappointed, and I was like, man, you're way ahead of a lot of people. There's people that just postpone and postpone and postpone on stuff like that. And my opinion is get in there early and get your feet wet. And so I think I'm very proud that he went through that. And, you know, like I said, he got through the tuning exam and just has one thing left before RPT status. So good stuff.
And now that he's taken the technical, he knows exactly what's required. So he'll be able to prepare better for it the next time.
Yes, totally. And that was part of the sort of, the convention is when the convention is. And then there's, especially with the lingering kind of COVID organizational difficulties and things like that, it's a little bit harder to pin someone down for exam time outside of that. And so, with the rush of trying to prepare for that, we didn't even always have we didn't even have a stringing jig from practice on, right? So I think just even sitting down with one and seeing one, getting used to it, should be one in the mail soon, and he'll be able to get his bearings a little bit better. So
your local chapter should have one too. Usually most chapters have a lot of that equipment, and you can at least look at it during chapter meetings or something. That's what we do for our chapter.
Yeah, with our chapter, I think that it's been a while since we updated and upgraded. I don't know, Carl. I don't know why I just pretended you were in my chapter. You're definitely not in my chapter, Carl. But I was going to ask you what you thought. Where did you think the jigs are? But yeah, it's something. I think it's about time to upgrade and update some of the resources. And we actually offered previously. I think we offered some type of reimbursement, even, which was kind of cool for someone taking the exam for the first time, if they're able to pass it. And I wasn't able to find out whether that was available. We'll see. Another thing too, actually, I'm curious of your experience with it, Morgan. I know they have that scholarship, and maybe Carl, you know about it too a little bit, where it's like.
Well, I was on the foundation board, so
okay.
Two things. When
Yep.
you pay for your exams, half goes to ETSC and half goes to the test sponsor. So the test sponsor could always rebate half of the test fee if they wanted to. We use it for administration of the test center. Second thing is the scholarship. If you've passed your written and one of the two exams, you can apply to the foundation by April for a scholarship, which gives you free convention registration, pays for your exam, your second exam, at the convention, and you take it at the convention. It's worth around $800. It's an absolute no-brainer. You should do that.
So I'm curious if we've seen, is there a lot of people that take advantage of that? Morgan, were you aware of that aspect of things, or Carl, I guess?
Yes, we are budgeted for 8 scholarships per year. Mm-hmm. We've never exceeded our amount. We've done up to 6. We want to spend this money. We want to facilitate people taking the exams.
Cool.
Well, and I just want to make sure that everybody that's watching knows what we're talking about. These are the 3 tests required to be a registered piano technician within the Piano Technicians Guild. So for any of you that maybe aren't in the U.S. or are not familiar with it, that's what we're talking about. It's a fairly rigorous test, and it's pretty stressful for a lot of people. So the fact that it takes like 2, 3, 4 times to pass it sometimes for some people speaks to the intensity of it, especially the stringing stuff that usually trips people up pretty quickly.
Yeah. And I think more could be done to demystify it and give people a little confidence too. And I think that's happening. But yeah, I think people have like I said, like I alluded to earlier, it's like sometimes people wait too long. They're intimidated by it. And, I do think kind of just jumping in there and getting prepared can be, why not?
One thing that we have at the convention, and we're going to have next year too, it's called the Piano Technicians Playground. And it'll be 2 days next year. And I think there's 13 or 14 different stations that you can sit at for as long as you want. And you work through all the repairs that we have to commonly do in the field and that are on the RPT exam. And so, especially with beginners, I sit them down in that room and I say, don't leave until you feel confident. And they emerge with total confidence to tie a splice, and they get to practice 3, 4, 5, 6. And yeah. So, for anyone taking the test next year, try to plan your test after you have the ability to go to the playground, at least for a couple hours. Just trying to get that hands on stuff there with the instructors there to help and guide you along the way.
Yeah. And I
just
know,
wanna say,
yeah, go ahead,
it's our
Carl.
experience that, these are the numbers, and, half the people pass most tests on the first try, half do not. But 90% pass on the second try. So, and they learn a lot from taking the test. They're set up so it would be too easy if more than 50% passed, and it would be too hard if less than 50% passed. So we've done this on hundreds and hundreds of exams, and it's pretty well balanced for an exam.
So then Carl might disagree, but I always tell those that are taking a regulation portion to just focus on one note and get that note perfect, and then copy and paste that to the rest of the piano, rather than trying to do key leveling and everything else all three at a time. You should do it just like we do it with any piano, right? We set a sample note, we get it right where we want it, and then we copy and paste that across. I think that helps a lot of people. It makes it a little bit easier than trying to do, three things at once and then having to move it and readjust it. And yeah.
Yeah, that's good insights. And this is maybe even a platform, I know, Larry, you shared some things with Adam one-on-one too, but if anybody does have tips, I mean, I know personally, I've been a relatively good test taker my entire life. And I think that some people aren't necessarily great with tests either. But it's kind of like mental math or memory skills, right? There's like tricks that you can learn to be better at testing, right? And so, some of them, I think people might even find them silly, but I've found them really helpful. Like, just probably one of the most out there things, not too out there, would be like closing your eyes and imagining yourself going through the testing process. Like, imagining yourself in the room where you're taking the test. Imagine yourself going through the steps of regulation, right? Or going through the steps of stringing, or going through the steps of, doing a hammer flange or something like that. And, there's a lot of research and science on this type of stuff as well. It sounds a little bit magical, but this is research from a long time ago. So hopefully it's been validated and still relevant. But like, basketball players, like shooting free throws, imagining themselves shoot free throws and making them can improve their ability to make an actual free throw in the real world. So I think it goes under underexposed. Like, just like get yourself used to like taking a test and what that's all about. And I think it's all about familiarity. Even if you can get into, and I think this is part of the reason why people can pass the test the second time around better. They know what it's set up like, right? Like, so if you have any chance to kind of watch somebody else take a test, or I don't even know if that's allowed, but, preview the test taking process, right? Folks will sometimes like do a practice test for you, right? Like, there's some other generous people in a guild, right, would say, okay, I'm going to deregulate this action model. Let's set a timer and you can practice, go through it, and then I'll tell you how you did, right? There's also like the task switching part of it to practice, right? So like, sit down at home, do a flange rebushing, then do a regulation of an upright, then go back and finish the flange rebushing, like then file some hammers, right? Remove a hammer shank, then go do something else, then put that hammer shank back in, right? Because the transition times are a part of the test as well. So I do think that can help really help people get there faster, right? If you're not great at taking tests, those are probably the missing pieces, right? Familiarizing yourself with the scenario.
Yeah. Well, just have kits too. That's what I tell everybody. Like, rather than bringing in your whole tool bag with, the 1,000 of tools, have only the tools that you need for that specific job in a little bag.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in the shop, go break a string and go tie a splice with only those things, and then time yourself. Once you're comfortable doing that, then you're okay. The other one is wear an apron. That just kind of gets your mind right, actually, like you're prepared to do something. And then have Band-Aids in the pocket. They will stop the clock when you cut yourself. But when I was doing the stringing thing, I poked
If you cut
myself.
yourself or when you cut your
Exactly.
We've
Yeah.
had lots
Well,
cut themselves.
but I had prepared for that. I went, ouch. I pulled out a Band-Aid, I put it on in 5 seconds, and I kept going, right? I didn't have to like mess up my train of thought because I had already thought about what if I do this or that. So